Save money this summer with the wireless remote control electrical outlet switch from City. Affiliate link below. Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Matt Jarbo. This is the Mundane Matt channel, and I cover lots of, well, you could argue false rape allegations on this channel. I find it to be something of a public service, if you will. Yeah, you might call it egotistical, but I don't know. I really feel that we need to draw more attention to these things. The reason why is because they exist. And no matter how many times you hear that stupid old saying of, well, false rape claims, they never exist. Oh, no, they do. And now there's even a huge settlement or payout fine that has to happen in one. And I think this is going to become the case of cases, the case people talk about for years to come because of what it all entails. Says here, female blogger, because that seems appropriate, is ordered to pay an Army colonel she accused of rape $8.4 million in damages after he claimed the false allegations cost him a sparkling military career, which goes to show you that in these particular cases, when false claims are made, they have devastating repercussions to that person's life and existence. And even if they're found out to be false, it doesn't matter. The damage is already done. And that is one of the biggest problems that comes from these false claims that no one ever seems to talk about, is that there is so much damage that's done to a person's life that they can almost never recover. And so seeing, yes, an $8.4 million fine having to be paid by this person who made these claims, it feels like justice served and pussy pass denied. But let's continue, shall we? So a jury has ordered female blogger to pay an Army colonel she accused of rape a total of $8.4 million in damages. Susan Shannon, 52 years old, who now lives in Everett, Washington, first alleged that she was sexually assaulted by Army Colonel David Riggins in 1986 when they were both cadets on her blog in 2013, of course. 2014 is when Max Temkin from Cards Against Humanity had that same similar situation kind of get thrown his way, right? It just seems to be a thing. Toby Turner being accused of rape via Tumblr and me coming out and saying Tumblr isn't 911. Well, same thing here. Susan Shannon, your blog is not 911. That is the biggest issue with these cases here. I'm not saying that there are, people who have not come forward when they've been sexually assaulted, but you have to do it in the proper channels. Going to your blog and shaming somebody and making those claims against them is not going to end well for probably you. And that's because you are doing it in a way with no proof, no evidence. It's just your word versus them. And generally that won't hold up in a court of law, no matter how true it is. And that's the unfortunate thing here. You have to come forward when these instances take place, not years later, not when you're trying to drive clicks to your blog, because it's going to cost you, in this case, literally $8.4 million. It says here that the combat veteran from Alexandria had been on the cusp of being appointed to a general in 2013 when Army leaders saw Shannon's rape allegation on her blog. His promotion was snatched away, and Riggins says his name was dragged through the mud after Susan Shannon decided to play judge and jury on her own. Again, that's another point with this. When you make those claims, you basically try to become Judge Dredd minus the executioner. You want to fire the bullet or inject the poison and then walk away knowing that your job has been done. No, fuck you. You're not if you're not going to sit there and actually carry out the execution yourself, you don't get to make those claims. You don't get to make those claims without evidence, without backing it up. I'm sorry. It says here that the decorated colonel denies all claims, telling ABC7 on your side, at the time, I did not rape Susan Shannon. I did not sexually assault Susan Shannon. Every aspect of her story is verifiably false. Which apparently that's true, because a jury has now ordered Shannon to pay $3.4 million in compensatory damages for injury to his reputation and lost wages, and $5 million in punitive damages to make sure nothing like this will ever happen again, according to the Washington Post. And that almost feels like the only way to go about it, is you have to sit there and make the punishment so heavy that they're never going to do it again. But as I say in these situations, and I stand by this, if you are a person who makes a false claim against somebody else, you should do that time that they would serve for that false claim plus 1 year to make it a harsher sentence for you for lying about someone, destroying their life, defaming them, using up public resources, using up time and energy, all that kind of shit, all because you have some personal vendetta to score for whatever reason. That's how I see it, because that would make sure that this shit would stop happening. Because in my opinion, yes, this kind of stuff damages real victims from coming forward. Not because the Army colonel here was defending himself, but because the woman making the claims has no evidence to back it up, was proven in a court to be false, and then it basically scares anyone else away who has evidence or comes out during that time. It is a civic duty of yours to fight back and defend yourself if you've been accused, and it should be a harsher sentence if you get caught lying about it. That's the way I see it, because it's, at this point, tons of these things keep happening. Shannon said at the time that she had finally been inspired to speak out about her alleged experience after reading about several high-profile convictions for sexual assaults in the military. Okay. Shannon alleged she was raped by a former cadet classmate at the United States Military Academy in New York in 1986. She dropped out shortly afterwards. Now a jewelry designer and a mother living on the West Coast, she added that the pressure in the Army to keep quiet and not turn in her peers meant that she did not even report the alleged rape in her exit interview. And she was, okay, fine. 1986, she's 52 now. That would have put her in her early 20s at the time. Okay, fine. What, 21 at the time? I understand there might be some fear there, but 31 years have passed. At the time of even writing about it, it was 27 years. And that's one of those things where it's like, it's such a hard thing to discuss, because you look at it and you're like, okay, if you were, then you have an obligation at that time to make that claim. And after all this time, coming out and saying it without any evidence opens you up for libel. We have rules and laws in this country about that. It's one of those things to sit there and say, I think this person did this thing versus this person did this thing. You know what I mean? Like there's those laws there. And this is one of the reasons why she's being ordered to pay out $8.4 million. Money that the guy will never get, but it sure as fuck sets a precedent, doesn't it? She made the claims on her blog Short Little Rebel in 2013, which followed the announcement that Colonel Riggins had been nominated for general. So basically she was waiting for something like this to happen, or it just happened to come across her desk and she happened to find out that he was being promoted. So she decided to make that claim. I mean, it was planned and timed to impact him as much as humanly possible. And it did. And this is where we are. She denied having any knowledge of his nomination until she was contacted by Army officials investigating her blog post. Seems a little bit too coincidental, doesn't it? It's just that random, blogging. It's been 27 years since I left the Army. And I was raped by this guy. This is his name. This is what he looks like. Doesn't that seem a little bit coincidental? Just a wee bit, And there was a time in that time there were, I think, documentaries coming out, or there had been a couple documentaries that had come out about that particular issue. And it is an issue that does need to be investigated. And it is an issue that does need to be addressed. And I'm not saying that her, if her reporting, if a crime did actually happen, shouldn't happen. I'm saying that it should have happened in that time. Evidence is destroyed. Over 2 decades have passed. The human mind degrades information. We will make up information from time to time. Humans are horrible eyewitnesses in these cases the further time gets along. And that's one of the problems that comes up when you ask people to defend these allegations, is they go, well, they never believe me. They ask all these questions because they're trying to understand it, and they want to have enough evidence that they can collect, they can gain, whether it's through DNA or through witness statements that are localized in that moment in time, that they can use to build a case. But if you just go and you make the claim yourself without any evidence to back it up, you're opening yourself up for trouble. And he goes on to say here, and that's basically about it. So yeah, so here we are. In order to pay $8.4 million in damages, and I don't feel bad. I feel like this needs to happen more often. She should get jail time for this kind of thing. 4 years ago, writing on her blog, I made this, this guy raped me. Here's his name and everything else. And then nothing. If it happened, that's horrible. But here we are. And if it had any basis, she probably would have been able to fight back further. But at the same time, she didn't. And I don't really feel sympathy for her in this regard. I feel sympathy for him. Because you know, he lost out. Like you don't go into, you don't get to being a general by, you know, by just kind of showing up and shit. It requires decades of dedication and decades of hard work. And had there been any other cases like this in the 4 years subsequent to her making that claim, I guarantee you more women would have come forward. It tends to happen if they're a serial rapist or they've done it again or something like that. It wouldn't even have to be rape. It would have to be like he just was rough with a girlfriend in order to help kind of build a case, or at least build some kind of circumstantial evidence against him. You know what I mean? Well, gang, that wraps up this video. Be sure to leave your thoughts below in the comments, as I love to read them. Also, if you guys want to support the channel, links below in the video description. We have Patreon, PayPal, Amazon affiliate in the beginning of the video, as well as Bitcoin now. During the apocalypse, anything helps. I greatly appreciate it. I will talk to you guys later. Have yourself a great day. Peace out.